Hello and welcome. Please put your hands together for your MC for the day, Tim Rastigar.
I'm smirking because that intro is just, I kind of want to copy it and take it home with me and play it when I get home, right as I open the garage. Yesterday I learned that that's called VOG. I didn't know. Anyone knows what that stands for? Voice of God. I didn't say it. I was told. Welcome back. We have a really great session ahead for you. You have heard from him earlier, Chris Taylor. He is the president, CEO, and co-owner of Fisher Technology. He's got 3 titles. Outdid me by 2 there. And they are our title and platinum sponsor. If you've ever been part of an organization that went through a culture transformation, you probably are going to shriek right now because that's the soft stuff. And it's really hard stuff. I've been part of organizations that went through that evolution. And some make it, some don't. Some lose their values, some lose their core competencies. Change is difficult, especially if it's the soft stuff. Chris is going to share 5 lessons learned on transforming the culture at Fisher Technology, basically taking a 70-year-old business that was somewhat stagnant and going into hypergrowth mode, growing it from 1 location to 11, ranking one of the best places to work for 14 years in a row. So I'm really looking forward to hear more about the lessons learned that Chris and his team had throughout that journey. And with that, give it up for Chris Taylor.
Thanks, Tim. Let's see, got my slide deck teed up there. It's an honor to be here, and this is my favorite topic, is people and culture. Everything is in business, as I said earlier. At age 32, I was hired as CEO of a small, struggling copier company in Boise called Fisher's. I'd never managed more than a handful of people, certainly never run a company. I was a true rookie and beginner. And that was a huge challenge, but it was also a huge asset in being a beginner. And I'll talk about that as a lesson learned. But I want to share with you over the next 50 minutes this story of a transformation of Fisher's and the lessons learned that we had. And we love topics like strategy and people and culture. Right? So these lessons all fit within these categories. We think these are very important to organizations, strategy, people, and culture. We also think there's a hierarchy of importance of these concepts. We think strategy is very important to an organization. But strategy alone, we don't think will make great organizations. We need a great strategy in our industries to survive, brutally competitive industries. We need a great strategy to survive. But that alone is not going to make us a great, thriving organization. We need a few other things, namely people. We need awesome people to go drive that strategy. And not only awesome people to drive that strategy, but we need them excited, enthusiastic, and working cohesively, locking arms, having a blast, taking care of our customers. And it's that piece of it that's this nebulous concept of culture. And we think the best organizations in the world, those that are thriving and growing, taking great care of their customers, are those that focus on the top of this pyramid, having a great culture to thrive. When I came to Fisher's, this was our logo. We were a decent company, but we had some real challenges I'll describe for you. And we embarked, starting in 2006, in a transformation of Fisher's to who we are today. We have not arrived. We've got lots and lots and lots of work to do on our company. But we are a significantly different business, and I want to share with you that journey. We're an old organization. We were founded in 1936 here in Boise. Where at least most recently, where Moons is downtown was our store. We're an office products company. This was our first product, the Underwood typewriter. We have a little museum in our headquarters here in Boise of all of our old products, and this is in that museum. You'll see this typewriter cart on there. Is our phone number was 126. So 3-digit phone number. That's how old of an organization Fisher's is. And these are some of our logos over that 80-some-year history. I want to describe Fisher's in terms of strategy, people, and culture when I came in January 9th of 2006. What did Fisher's look like in terms of strategy, people, and culture? Our strategy was something like, just get out there and sell something, right? Go sell. That was our strategy as an organization. For to describe our attitude at Fishers towards our people, our employees, it was something like, we have 45 employees, 45 headaches. And also, for to describe the culture of Fishers in 2006 towards our customers, our culture was, this would be a great business if it weren't for the damn customers. You can probably empathize a bit with those statements, right? The more people we have in our organizations, the more opportunity for drama and miscommunication and politics and the things that humans bring to the table, right? So that it is headaches. The more people you get, there's headaches for sure. And in the services business, and particularly technology services business, when things don't work, you have upset customers. It's not fun to have your technology down, right? We say, we're not just fixing broken technology, we need to fix broken people. Right, that's our business, and you've got upset customers, you can understand. This would be a great business if it weren't for the damn customers. But if you can imagine the culture of an organization that thinks this would be a great business if it weren't for our people or our customers, the two most important constituents, I would argue, of any organization, you've got a challenge as an organization, and that's what we faced back in 2006 and embarked in this transformation of our company. And it's been a blast. Again, I'm going to share those stories with you. First, I just want to give you an overview in case you're not familiar with Fishers, so you can put strategy, people, and culture into context of us and our industry and our geographies. So our business, we sell and service copiers and printers, manage print services, production print, all those things in that space. We are an MSP. We're an outsourced IT provider for small to medium business. As a part of that, we have hosted PBX, voice phone solutions, unified communications, and we have an electronic document management software and consulting practice. So that's our business, office technology. We have 11 offices. We now have a few employees over in Oregon as well, across Idaho, Montana, Washington, and Oregon. 160 employees that get to operate in these beautiful, beautiful markets in the Northwest. And it's these 160 employees that is our lifeblood. It's lifeblood, our organization, and I would venture to say, you argue in your organization, it's all about people and culture. And the lessons I'm going to share with you now about our cultural transformation that we've learned, I just want to brag a little bit, show that it's worked for us. Inc. 5000 award, we've been received 5 times, so we're one of the fastest growing private companies in the country. Lots of industry awards, Idaho Private 100 award the last 6 years. Small Business of the Year, locally and nationally. The readers of the Idaho Business Review have voted us 6 years straight as the #1 copier company in the state of Idaho and the #1 IT company in the state of Idaho. And by far our most prized award that we're proud of is, and TM said this in his intro, 14 years straight recognized by our employees as one of the best places to work in the state of Idaho. And we were just awarded best places to work in the Northwest up in Spokane, North Idaho. That for us is our most prized award because we feel like if we have happy, enthusiastic, engaged employees, they can't help but impart a happy, enthusiastic, engaged experience on our clients. So I want to share with you these 5 lessons. Again, January 9th, 2006, I was a 32-year-old punk kid, had never managed very many people, certainly hadn't run a company. And it was a true challenge and our biggest asset. Which brings me to the first lesson here I want to share with you, and that is beginner's mind. Keeping a beginner's mind in our organizations. Wondering, why do we do it this way? Is there a better way of doing things? Right? Having that curiosity, what don't I know? What don't we know? What are we not doing that we could do better? That curiosity of asking why, being vulnerable enough to not think we have all of the answers. That's the beginner's mind. And not being, experts and allowing that expertise and that experience to be blinders to what we don't know. Right? Curiosity, beginner's mind, has been huge for us of asking those questions and innovating in our business. When we have new employees at Fishers, we have a celebratory workspace like this. And I personally do all of our new employee orientations. It's a 3.5-hour session with me. And I just want to kick that relationship off one-on-one with all of our teammates, enculturate from day one. And in that orientation, I tell them, you have right now the best perspective on Fishers of anybody. Because you haven't been Fisherized, right? You're not saying, well, that's just the way we do it, I guess. Or, I've tried for years and failed in changing things, so that's the way it is. You have this fresh perspective from the outside. Please use those fresh eyes to challenge us. Ask those questions because you do have a beginner's mind relative to Fishers. Use it, please, and help us feel better. Open door policy, just come in and challenge things, ask questions. These are 3 owners of Fishers, my 2 partners, Eric and JT. We all came in 2006 as beginners. And it was huge to our company to tell them, we're going to listen to you. Our investments in this business, our decisions we make are all going to be on your input. And they needed that curiosity. This is about back then in 2007, I think. This is us now, so we look a little older. They needed us to be curious and have beginners' minds, to have hope that we could change this organization. But they needed one more thing as well. They needed direction. They needed us to say, all right, team, this is the mountain we're going to go climb. Right? They needed cohesion in where are we going. So openness, beginner's mind, curiosity, and direction. Which brings me to the second point here that we learned was pushing one theme was huge for us. I stood up in front of the company January 9th, 2006. I put this worker's apron on, and I said, team, I work for you. I'm here to listen to. Talk to me, and I'll go make decisions of what we need to do. I'll make investments in our business on behalf of you and our customers. And I realized, what are we making those investments in? What is that one theme? What do they need? What's that direction, that mountain that we're going to climb? And I made it up on the spot. I got lucky. Is it still our one theme today, 16 years later? I made it up. I said, guys, we're going to go create extremely happy customers. We have some happy customers, maybe not extreme, but we have some happy customers. We've got a lot of unhappy customers. We are going to go make extremely happy customers across the board. So when you see things with your curious mind, you see things that we can do differently, or investments we can make, people we can hire. Let's have this be our rally cry. This is how we're going to make decisions. Does it make extremely happy customers? I made it up on the spot. It worked. It got us rowing in the same direction as an organization. And it became a theme that I just push over, and our whole team pushes it over and over and over again. Extremely happy customers, extremely happy customers. Even to this day, that is our one theme that we just hammer and hammer and hammer. We have a monthly meeting. I think many organizations have staff meetings in some frequency and cadence. Ours is monthly. It's an hour long, 160 employees for an hour a month. That's an expensive meeting. I would never give it up, though, because this is our enculturation moment. This is my moment to let us know what we're all about, what's going on in our company. And in that meeting, this is just from August last year, but we have these happy customer alerts. And I interrupt myself every few minutes. Happy customer alert, happy customer alert, happy customer alert. We're so lucky in the services industry to have customers. We have 40 to 50 a month that write in about the great job that someone on our team did for them. Of course, I'm going to share those messages over and over and over again. It's in this meeting. I send them out every month as well as they come in, reinforcing that one theme. We are here for extremely happy customers over and over again. So this is just 1 month's worth that I shared back in August, and I just did it on Tuesday this month for March's happy customer alerts. This is my favorite one. She's hugging her new copier. Found a theme that fits for us, and it gave us a direction. It's still our direction today. It became our mission statement, extremely happy customers. It's why we exist as an organization. And again, I got lucky. I stood there that day, January 9th, looking around, and I saw they need direction. I made it up, and I got lucky. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. So extremely happy customers was our one theme that we pushed. Now, clearly, if you're going to push a consistent theme across your organization, it's got to be consistent with, if you have core values in your organization, it has to be, or it should be, I think, consistent with who you espouse yourself to be from a core values perspective. So I want to say a little bit about core values. Most organizations have core values like these: integrity, communication, respect, excellence. We put them on our website. We put them on our walls. Maybe we launch meetings with them and use them internally, hopefully. But I want to talk about core values a little bit, because what our team feels we are core in our culture day in and day out may not be what we put on the wall. Right? Those are our core values. It may not be what we put on the wall. So I want to talk about my favorite leadership author. I'll talk about him a couple of times, Patrick Lencioni. I'm sure many of you read Patrick Lencioni. His biggest book probably was 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, which I'm going to talk about. But he wrote a Harvard Business Review article on values. And he said, yes, there are core values in an organization. It may not be what you put on the wall, but it's what the team feels day in and day out. As you as a leader, the decisions that you make, the dialogue that we have, behaviors in the organization, those are all guided by core values. And again, it may not be what you have on the wall. That's who you are at the core. He said there are other values. There are permission to play values. He says permission to play values are those values that are very important to your organization, but maybe not differentiating enough about your organization and your culture to put up on the wall. The one I like to pick on, at risk of this being one of your core values, but I'll pick on honesty. You could call honesty a core value, and it might be core. It's absolutely critical to our organization and our culture to be honest. But it's a permission to play. right? We're not going to say that differentiate. We're not going to say, team, we're going to be so honest this year. We're going to tell the truth 99.9% of the time. Like, it's a permission to play. We're going to hire for honesty. We're going to fire for dishonesty. It's a value that's very important to us, but it's not differentiating about our culture. Those he calls permission to play values. Then there are accidental values. These are values that are in your core, but you did not intend them to get there. You inherited them, they slipped in over the years, you don't really realize what you're doing, whatever it is. They're in your core, but you didn't intend them to be there. And then he says there are aspirational values. And these are values that we wish our organization had, but they're not lived and felt day in and day out in organizations, right? They're aspirational. And Pat Lencioni argues that if you take aspirational values, they're not who we are, but they're who we want to be, and we put them up on the wall and we say, team, this is who we are, and then they go back to work and they're like, that's not us. You're doing more damage to your culture to say we're this and when we're not. At least call them aspirational. Say, team, this is the direction we're going. You're going to see us making decisions consistent with this value going forward. So these values that I put up earlier, integrity, communication, respect, and excellence, were actually the values of Enron. If you remember Enron, integrity may not be the top of what they truly, at least at executive levels, right? Right? So I wanted to know in our organization, this is years ago, I wanted to know, who are we at the core at Fishers? I know who I want us to be, but who does our team think we are? And I hired a consultant that came in, did an exercise with our employees to come back and say, this is who your team says you are at your core, Chris. And we got those results, and can you imagine how nervous I was? Who does our team think we are? I loved the results, actually. It was spot on. It's weird. They were weird, but we're weird, right? So it fit our culture. So this is what they came back with. The first, awesome customer experiences. Boom, nailed it. Like that, pushing that one theme day in and day out worked. That is our true value. Having fun with each other. We have a lot of fun at Fishers. My HR director thinks we have too much fun. And then always getting better, continuous improvement. Right? There's dark sides to all these too. Maybe you do have too much fun, or maybe you're always about improvement and you're not appreciating the things that we've achieved. Certainly things we have to work on, but these are who we are at our core. We loved them. Since that study, we've added a fourth, and we do kind of put an asterisk of aspirational value here because it's really hard to do, and we work very hard at it, and that's building vulnerable levels of trust in our organization and embracing healthy conflict in our company. I'm going to talk about that in another lesson learned. But it's hard to do. We've been at it for about 3.5 years. It's still a bit aspirational, so it's difficult. But that is our set of core values. We wordsmith these a little bit, and I'll share how we've modified these a bit over the years. But this came back. This is who we are, and we embraced it and moved forward. And you'll see the top of that list, awesome customer experiences. This hammer that we've been using day in and day out worked because they see us consistently executing to this value in our company. So if we're going to push one theme over and over and over again, what if we have people in our organization that don't like that value, right? They're naysayers, or they just don't exhibit the behaviors consistent with that one theme and that value. Brings me to our third lesson learned here, and that is invest in recruiting. We invest heavily in recruiting in our process of how do we find great people to drive our strategy and fit within our culture. So we've got a hiring methodology that I give another seminar. If you're interested, I can do that on how we hire people. But from day one, January 9th, 2006, I pulled, many of you probably read Jim Collins. This is probably a bit out of date now, but the concepts are not in Good to Great. There's these nice little symbols and tools to use. One of those is the bus analogy. If you know that, your organization's a bus. You want to get the right people on your bus, the wrong people off your bus, and the right people in the right seats of the bus. And that's absolutely what we had to do back in 2006 is we had a lot of wrong people to get off the bus. We needed to get a lot of great people on the bus. And there were clear examples of people that were just simply not in the right seat. We moved their seat, and they're performing beautifully. This analogy worked for us for quite a while until we realized, one seat on the bus there versus another seat on the bus over there. Analogy broke down a little bit because those two seats don't really have significant impact on the actual execution of driving that bus. It's really only one seat that matters. So we changed the analogy, and it's a little cliche you see on leadership posters and so forth. But we use the analogy of a boat like this, where everybody on this boat needs to perform to be highly successful. And there are distinct roles of each seat on a boat like this, right? So we say at Fishers, we need to get the right people on our boat, the wrong people off our boat, and the right people in the right seats of the boat. And that worked. And so we developed this hiring with outside leadership help. It developed our hiring practice how we interview people and determine, are they a great fit for our customers and our culture? Right, and this is our revenue since we got in the copier business in the mid-90s. This is our actual revenue trend through last year. This is when we implemented this hiring practice. If someone would say, is there one, actually someone asked me last night, I think John did. Well, if you picked one thing that you did in your business to transform it, it would be investing in hiring for culture. Getting the right people on our boat. And that whole methodology is built on the concept of we want to accelerate the relationship process as we're interviewing, as we're getting to know people. Right? Because the person typically who shows up for an interview shows up with high emotional energy. They want to put their best foot forward, right? They want the job. You're going to get the best version of them. But that's not who we're going to be working with 6 months from now, right? We want to get to know that person. The only way we can get to know that person is by building a relationship with them to get to know that person. And the only way we're going to get to know the real person in a hiring process is by building trust, being vulnerable ourselves, being trustworthy ourselves, and getting to know the real person and building that relationship. So our whole hiring methodology is around building relationships through trust. And it takes time. It takes a lot of deliberate effort, and we love it. It's our one secret sauce. You may have heard of ZipRecruiter.com. It's a service that gathers resumes and job postings and all those things. I'm sure it's a great service. We probably even use it at Fisher's. But there's one thing I object to ZipRecruiter.com, and that's some of their messaging. They hammer radio and TV. Some of their messaging are things like this. They say, hiring is the worst part of my job. Thanks to ZipRecruiter.com, I don't have to do this terrible part of my job. Or they say, with ZipRecruiter.com, I can spend less time hiring. I don't want to spend less time hiring. I want to spend more time hiring. It's one of the best parts of my job. It means we're growing, we're meeting awesome people, we're adding to this great team. We love it, and it's really important to invest time in that process. It is our secret sauce, finding amazing people that fit our culture. So I talked about the importance of our one theme, extremely happy customers, and hiring employees to our culture and values. I haven't talked about money. Right? Money is important to organizations. We need enough money certainly to survive and to grow. So it brings me to our fourth lesson here, and that is reversing the priorities. We had to learn this, reversing the priorities. So we said the number one, why are we in business? Why are we taking all this business risk and debt and growing our business? Why are we doing this? Well, to create shareholder value. How do we create shareholder value? We have extremely happy customers. How do we have extremely happy customers? We have awesome employees that want to take great care of our customers. We ultimately realize this is the right causal relationship, but it's the wrong prioritization. We're not going to obsess with shareholder value. We're going to reverse the priorities. We're going to obsess with our team. We're going to obsess with our employees. When we have amazing employees that feel cared about, supported, and fit great in our culture, they can't help but take great care of our customers. And if we're taking great care of our customers, we can't help but create shareholder value. We're not going to obsess with that. That'll come. Can't help it. So our obsession is our employees. So these core values, the original ones that the research brought back, we've tweaked over time. There's some wording tweaks, but the main tweak is we had customers first, employees second. Now, they're not numbered, but you see normally, mentally at least, in a list like this, you're like, well, number one must be number one. So we changed our core values, and we put our team first. These aren't our current core values. The values are all the same. We, again, just tweaked the words. But we put our employees first, having a blast doing what we do, loving each other. Then, in turn, we will take great care of our customers, our second core value. Right? So we reverse these priorities. We obsess with our employees day in and out. Now, our theme is still extremely happy customers, our mission. That's our why statement. But our values internally, we put our employees first. And it's not just the hiring practice I talked about. It's not just getting great people on board, but it's once they're on board, how do we get them loving what they do, engaging cohesively, taking great care of our customers, growing their careers long-term in our company. And that's this nebulous thing that we call culture. How do we build a culture to achieve all those things with this great team that we've hired? And lots of great speakers, far better than me, lots of great books, and you guys are all, if you're in this session, you obsess with culture as well. But I do want to talk a little bit about this fifth lesson learned, and that is living in and driving our culture in our organization. As leaders, making decisions consistent with our culture and never deviating from that. Having a culture to support those people and to thrive as an organization. So I want to talk just a little bit about culture. Again, this is a Pat Lencioni analogy. And if you read Pat Lencioni, all of his books, I think except for one, are fictitious fables. Right, so if you're like me, I've got 600 leadership business books on my bookshelves. I've read about 42 pages of every one of them, right? They're awesome, I'm excited, and then I just lose steam and I move to the next one. Patrick Lencioni's books are fictitious fables. They're page-turning, drama-filled stories. When you get to the end of it, you've learned a pretty amazing leadership principle. He did have one book, The Advantage, that was text, so a little bit more boring. But in that book, he talks about organizations that are obsessed with being smart and organizations that are obsessed with being healthy. Those that are obsessed with being smart think about things like strategy and marketing, finance, technology, negotiation, these awesome, tangible, quantifiable concepts that we know as business leaders. We know how to turn these dials, and they're awesome. And then we think about, healthy organizations. Those that are obsessed with being healthy think about reducing politics in our organizations, decreasing confusion through clarity, increasing the morale of our team, increasing productivity, decreasing turnover if we have the right people on our boat. And we say, as business leaders, typically we look at this side and we say, yes, this is home base for us, the strategic side. It's what we learned in business school. It's what we read in the business literature. It's how we value our businesses. And when things go awry, these are the knobs and dials we know how to turn to get things right in our business, right? And then we as business leaders look at this healthy side and we say, oh yeah, it's really important to have a healthy culture. I probably should spend more time there, but I've got an HR director, right? That's what she does, make sure we have a healthy organization. I'm going to go back to this home base of smart as a business leader, and we as business leaders think this is the meat and potatoes of business. If we don't have smarts, we don't have a business. It's the meat and potatoes. And then having a nice time at work, enjoying our colleagues. It's like having broccoli with the meal, right? Some salt and pepper. Makes the meal taste nicer, but we don't have a meal if we don't have the meat and potatoes. And Pat says, well, yes, the smart side is definitely the meat and potatoes of business. But the healthy is not the broccoli and the salt and pepper. Healthy is the very plate that the meat and potatoes sit on. Meaning you could have the smartest organization on the planet. You could have great meat and potatoes. If you don't have a plate, it's going to fall flat in your lap. We have to have healthy organizations to take advantage of the meat and potatoes. In fact, the healthier our organizations are, it's a multiplier. The bigger that plate can be, the more meat and potatoes we can pile on, the more we can take advantage of the natural smarts we have in our organizations. Lencioni has a group of consultants around the world called the Table Group that help organizations become healthier. Right? We have one in Boise, Michael McCarg, he's a stud. And they get together as consultants and they say, not one out of the thousands of clients we've had around the world, not one of those clients is not smart enough to be successful. Most of them are not healthy enough. So why as leaders are we obsessed with negotiation and strategy and finance? Let's go obsessed with being healthy. It was a little cheesy, but a couple years ago I changed from CEO, I changed my title to Chief Culture Officer. I got teased for it, so I changed it back. But I believe that is my role in our organization. Chief Culture Officer is making sure we got great people that have clear direction, love what they're doing, work cohesively as a team. That's my job, is the right side of this. We got plenty of natural smarts in our organization. So I obsess with Fisher's culture. This is where I spend my time. So this is if you've gotten to any of our parties, you've probably seen one of these. We have cookie jars that are copiers, right? You lift up the document feeder and there's cookies in there. This was actually plan C for Fisher's. My plan A was we do a lot of barbecuing, at tailgates and stuff like that. I wanted to have a big production copier and you lift the document feeder and you're grilling your burgers and hot dogs. And turns out there's a heat transfer problem between fire and plastic. So that didn't work. So I wanted coolers. You get your drinks out of there, but the cavities on copiers not very deep, so you can't get many drinks in there. So we did a cookie jar. But I love this as an analogy for Fisher's because we're technology, but we're also people and having fun. It really describes, it's an analogy of our business and our culture. These are our core values today. Same core values, right? You don't just change core values. We tweak the wording to be a bit clearer and relevant to the current status of our culture, but it's team, customers, trust, which I'm going to touch on, and always improving. So when I work on, what does it mean to go work on culture? I go right back to these core values. I say, how can we enhance these and make them even more part of our daily life at Fisher's? I talked about customer messaging and pushing one theme, making decisions that are customer-centric. Team, our pictures of our team are like these. They're not just photos. It's us and our personalities. We're all humans with different backgrounds and embracing that diversity, having a lot of fun together. We got Fisher sunglasses one time as our team. enjoying their sunglasses. We throw lots of tailgates. This is marketing as well, right? Engaging with prospective clients and clients, but it's also having fun together as a team. And now we're throughout Montana and Washington, so we're throwing lots of tailgates at all of these universities and just having a blast together. We throw so many of these. We have a party trailer, carries all of our party gear. So teamwork, and then we look at if someone had just asked me, how do you describe Fisher's culture? It'd be awesome people having a blast, taking care of our awesome customers. It's what we do. That's our culture. If you look at improvement, if you were to walk any of our facilities, you would see lots of flow charts and sticky notes, and we're always working on our business to get better. So that's a very important part of our culture. And then I just want to touch on this trust piece. So you saw it in our core values, trust and healthy conflict. So this comes back to one of Patrick's fictitious fable books, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Anybody who's read 5 Dysfunctions of a Team? Okay. Well, so you can tell me if you had the same takeaways, but I'll give you the leadership principle that I learned after getting through a very nice read. What Pat says is high-functioning teams all have 5 characteristics. High-functioning teams have these characteristics, and it starts with trust. If you don't have trust amongst the team, they're not going to be high-functioning. And he says it's not just trust you're telling me the truth, it's what he calls vulnerable levels of trust. Trust that you can be wrong in front of your team, or you can call somebody else out for disappointing you, right? You can be vulnerable with each other, and if you can be vulnerable with each other and you implicitly trust each other on a team, then you can disagree, right? We've created a safe, respectful environment to disagree. There's real power, I believe, in disagreement. That as long as we align on a goal, I want to completely disagree on how to get to that goal. Because through that process of disagreeing and having healthy conflict, we're going to find a much more innovative, better way, better decisions to go achieve that goal through the collective sharing of ideas, embracing diversity. But you can't have healthy conflict if you don't have trust. And if we're having healthy conflict in our teams, and maybe I come out, we have disagreement, we go in another direction, that's fine. I was heard, I was respected, I added to the richness of the conversation, and then we went a different direction. Well, guess what? Now I'm going to be committed to that decision that we made. Right? And if we have commitment, then we don't have we call it the meeting after the meeting, right? We make a decision, you leave, and you're like, oh, that's never going to happen. He's never going to do that, right? We don't want the meeting after the meeting. We're going to have the meeting in the meeting, we're going to disagree, and then we're going to commit. And if we're committed to the decisions we make as teammates, then we can hold each other accountable, peer-level accountability to execution of what we committed to. And if we're doing that, we can't help but achieve the results of our team. And not my results or her results, the results of the team. Right, so I don't know, is that what you learned from 5 Dysfunctions? Okay. So you see in here is this healthy conflict is critical. So we train our company on how to fight. I told you about my new employee orientation. I'm like, this is going to feel weird for a while, guys, but we argue a lot. But it's respectful, it's desirable, and we have much better outcomes as a result of that. And I say those who disagree with me are far more valuable than those who agree. I don't want a group of yes people around me. Then I don't need them, right? I'll just make decisions. Right? I want disagreement, but in a healthy environment. So our conference rooms have these. Those dials actually move, right? So this is enculturation 101, right? Energy, obviously we want positive energy. We talk a lot about bringing, especially this day and age with wars and COVID and all this stuff, it's easy to bring negativity into the workplace. No, we're going to be positive, right? So a reminder that positive energy is important. And then we want to have conflict, and we don't want weak conflict, just passive yes people. We don't want personal attacks, right? Because then trust is gone, and we're not going to get any respectful, safe place to have healthy conflict. We want healthy conflict in our meetings. So these are just reminders to the team. Even though those dials move, people don't sit there and monitor the health of the meeting, right? It's just pure cultural messaging, and it's very important to us and our culture. So live in and drive our culture as leaders and be consistent with those values. It was a very important lesson learned for us. So those are the 5 lessons learned. I'm going to just return quickly back to keeping a beginner's mind. So I've been at this now 16 years, and so I know a lot more than I did 16 years ago, but I want to make sure I don't have those blinders on, right? I want to keep our company curious. I want to keep our company open, asking why, and embracing new ideas and new opinions, keeping that beginner's mind as an organization in our culture. In fact, just on Tuesday, I was always told you need 5 core values. It's best practice to have 5 core values, but we have 4. So I added a fifth on Tuesday. Now, again, if you remember, you can't just slap a core value on the wall and say, team, this is who we are. Right? It's got to be who you are at your core. And we are this at our core. We just didn't call it out. So on Tuesday morning, I rolled out our fifth core value, curiosity. I love the adjective curiosity. I hope people call me curious. But that's that beginner's mind, and we are. It is, again, I can't just say we're curious and then not be it. We are very curious, open-minded as a culture, and it deserves to be called out explicitly as a core value. In fact, I mentioned those company meetings we do once a month. I give awards out. It's easy to give sales awards because it's very quantifiable, but there's so much that happens behind the scenes that allows us to be successful in selling. I want to recognize all those unsung heroes. And so I recognize at every team meeting an employee, and I say, in the story I tell about this amazing team member, which value am I showing off for them right now? Are they great team members having fun together? Are they taking great care of our customers? Do they have curiosity and challenge us to be more innovative? So what is it? So just reinforcing these values over and over and over again is very important to us. But you'll see curiosity as part of this, keeping an open mind, keeping curious at Fishers. I have a meeting. It's a boring title. I always intended to rebrand it, and I haven't. But it's called the cross-functional meeting. I do it once a month, and I bring in cross-functional employees. So it could be 2 or 3 copier technicians, a couple IT technicians and engineers, sales, administrative, different functions. We sit around a table for an hour and a half, and I carve up the whiteboard into quadrants. I say, we're going to talk about 4 things this morning. The first thing is, and this is the top left quadrant, what do we do at Fishers that you want to make sure we never lose, that makes our customers extremely happy? Right? You hear that one theme? Continually reinforced. But what do we do at Fishers that makes our customers extremely happy? Then we're going to talk about, and that's the top right quadrant, what if we changed it about Fishers would make our customers even happier? Then I go to the bottom left quadrant. What do we do at Fishers that make you love working here? You want to make sure we never lose. So it's the same questions except about us as team members. And the bottom right, what if we change it about Fishers would make you even more excited to get up and come to work every day? So I start in the top left quadrant. They all have sticky notes. I tee up the question, and then they have a few minutes. I play music, and I want 3 ideas, 1 per sticky note. And use a Sharpie. This is a methodology, by the way, for collecting lots of ideas in a very short period of time, these sticky notes. But you want a Sharpie so they don't use too many words. They can only put so many words on a small sticky note. But anyway, we get all these ideas, and then they come up and they present. Here's what we do that make our customers love us. They group them and so forth. And then we move to the next one. And usually I play blues for the bad ones, sad music. But where do we suck for our customers? How can we get better? Right? And they get those ideas, and then for us as team members, what do we do great, and what can we improve on? We get done with the meeting, and this is why it's my favorite meeting. The left side of this board is reinforcement of all the great things that we are at Fishers for our teammates and for our customers. Again, the 2 most important constituents, I believe, in an organization. And the right side are all the ideas that we have to go process and see how can we improve for employees and for our customers. I go take those ideas and I process them with our leadership team, and we come up with great projects and initiatives to go get better for our employees and our customers. I love this meeting. I highly encourage it. And again, that's at least once a month for me. And then for me personally, staying curious and always learning and growing as a leader, and more than that. So I belong to these 2 of these YPOs, Young Presidents Organization. I realize I'm not young anymore, but they used to kick you out at 49, and now you can stay in forever. So, but I'm in 2 YPO chapters, an Idaho chapter and a Montana chapter. And these are groups of CEOs. We get together once a month, and we just help each other. It can be lonely at the top. You can't process certain things with your employees or whatever. Also, if you're running a company, you're probably screwing up your marriage, probably screwing up your kids, right? So you got aging parents, whatever. You got these common issues, and you process them once a month. It's fantastic, and it feeds the curious mind of how we can get better as leaders and spouses and parents. I'm also in a Vistage group here in Boise. Same thing. CEOs getting together, co-mentoring each other on becoming better leaders. And these are all curious people that learn from each other. I can't surround myself with enough smart people. So these are ways that I engage in growing. I also belong to the Copier Dealers Association, so my industry groups, Managed Technology Association, get together multiple times a year and just grow and learn from each other with curious minds. And then you're all here today at this IMTECH Conference because you're curious, right? You have beginner's minds. You want to learn and grow. So congratulations to you for being here. That's my list of lessons. I hope it's applicable to you and your organization and your roles. I don't know if this clock is at how much time we have. I think we have time for some questions, even better yet, challenges like, Chris, you're crazy. Yeah.
So I loved everything about what you said. What does work-life balance look like?
So the question is, what does work-life balance look like at Fisher's? So my wife actually is in the other room, and she thinks I have no work-life balance, particularly right now. We work hard, play hard culture. At the same time, we are praised by our team that we're highly flexible with schedules. Like, we work hard, but it's not 8 to 5, right? So we really we understand you got to be strong with self, you got to be strong with family in order to be strong at work. So yes, we work hard, but we have highly flexible work environment for that very reason. I'm the counterexample that probably I don't execute very well on the life balance part of it, but it's very important to our culture. And we include all these social events and parties. We always want spouses there. We want them engaged in our culture as well. And then they're the one who tell us that their spouse is working too hard or whatever, and we can go back them off. But it's very important to our culture. It's not called out. It's a good point. It's not called out in our values. But the first one of happy team members, we know includes being happy with self and family. I'd love other ideas on how you're embracing work-life balance. I haven't actually had that question. Now you got me thinking. Maybe we drive too hard. I don't know. Yeah.
Would you agree that if you are passionate about what you are doing, you never worry too much working? It becomes a problem when you are not liking what you are doing.
Totally agree. Yeah. So, it starts with the hiring process. Are they passionate about our cause and our values and so forth? So we hire understanding. Yeah, absolutely. If work isn't feeding our passions, then we're not going to be highly productive and probably not long term in that function. So.
And also, I think then work-life balance doesn't become a challenge because you are loving what you are doing. So work becomes life, life becomes work.
It's true. Yeah. We get to hear from Jeet later today, so I can't wait. Yeah, I mean, also Jim Collins, Good to Great. There's another model in there. What's the model? Oh, I can't remember. I lost my train of thought. But the book Good to Great starts out with probably one of my favorite quotes: "Good is the enemy of great." So read that book if you haven't read it. So thank you. Yeah.
Quick question. How do you feel like you changed the recruiting environment from where you guys were in 2006 or wherever it was to now? Like, what did you teach your recruiters or your hiring managers to look forward to embrace that culture?
So the question is, how did we essentially implement and continue to enhance and train on our recruiting process? So I do, one of these sessions, I do about an hour-long session for the public on that methodology, that hiring methodology. And that basically is the extent of our own internal training on the hiring process. Because we don't want to give specific lists of questions and like a whole guide to interviewing for us, because we think interviewing is a very personal process as well. Right? So we give the general guidelines. This is our general methodology. This is the type of things we're trying to achieve in this segment of the interview. But we want it to be a very personal process, because not only do we need to get to know the real candidate, they need to get to know and deserve to get to know the real Fishers and the real hiring manager. And that's a very personal process. That building trust and relationship is very personal. So we don't do extensive, detailed training on the process. We just give the high level, every quarter or so, like, overview of the methodology, and then people just have to go try it and make it their own. Yeah.
How long does that process usually take for you to hire? From you've identified someone to you're hired. I mean, it sounds like it's a relationship building, lengthy process, no?
Right. So the question is, how long does that process take if you're really deliberately building relationships? When I give that seminar, usually it's kind of like, oh my God, I don't have time to do all that, or did that take forever? Are you losing great candidates by taking that much time to? The reality is, it does take time. We can you can accelerate it and do it in a pretty short period of time, but it takes time. We're not losing best candidates when we go through that process, because the best candidates are those that are lockstep with us in our mission and our values. And if we're investing in building that relationship and they fit with us, they want the job even more than others who are not going through this process. They're not getting to know as well. They're not feeling like they're investing in them through the process. So we're actually locking in the best candidates, not turning them off. But it doesn't have to be months long. Well, one of the concepts from our methodology is we call it always be recruiting. So every manager in our company has to have a pipeline of people that they could hire should a position open up. And the concept there is we all, as humans, have cyclicality in our job satisfaction. Sometimes we're very satisfied in our careers. Sometimes we're not satisfied in our careers. We think in general, when we open a position and we get candidates, the people who are going to apply are those who are not currently satisfied in their career, right? Or they wouldn't be applying. We think that pool of candidates that are currently not satisfied in their career elsewhere are not as high quality of candidates as those who are currently satisfied in their career. So we need to be talking to people long before we have an open position, right? And we get to know them. So the length of time really could be taking them to lunch every month or every quarter or whatever cycle, getting to know them, right? And then we're building trust and relationship over time. We're not even interviewing yet, right? We're building a relationship. Then most of us fall down at some point for some reason in our career satisfaction, and we're going to get a great hire. Or at least we'll have the benefit of that relationship building period. So the actual mechanics of the interviewing and the interview methodology we can do relatively quickly. Yeah. Thank you.
It sounds like you're looking for passive candidates more than active candidates. It's kind of your strategy, correct?
So tell me what the question is. We're looking for more passive versus active candidates. What do you mean by passive and active?
So instead of being a self-nominated candidate applying on Indeed as a recruiter, you've already had somebody working on somebody that's currently employed.
Yeah, we do the Indeed. We want to make sure we get the best pool of candidates possible for a position. But we've found, you probably have as well, our best hires come from our own network of people, either their friends and family, or they're just engaging in an always be recruiting process and getting to know people all the time. So I don't know if I'd call it passive versus active. Yeah, well, maybe if you mean they're not actually looking for jobs and they just got to know us, and yeah, from that perspective, we've built a relationship, and I can't tell you how many of our amazing people we got to know long before we hired them, and eventually put it together. Yeah. All right. Oh, sorry.
I think this is wonderful, and I want to work for your company. But in the tech world, obviously with growth being the king and scaling being the objective, how do you plan to keep these values intact and be able to do that in the growth environment, particularly those who are accepting equity capital from outside sources?
So how do we maintain our culture with growth and potentially outside investors and?
From 140 employees to 1,400, like how does that?
Yeah, boy, I hope I have that problem. No, but even from 40 when I started to 160 now, and 11 locations, how do you keep that together? It's a challenge geographically. For us, it's communication. And I say to our company all the time, the biggest challenge in any organization is communication. So we're always working on internal communication and external communication, getting better at that. So for me, I just started, actually it'll start Monday, a little mini version of our monthly meeting. I'll do a 3-minute video clip to the company of stuff that happened last week, stuff that's happening this upcoming week, and then recognizing individuals that are exhibiting our core values. So it's just messaging. And then, this is why I have no work-life balance, is we've got to get there as a leadership team. We've got to be in our remote locations all the time, engaging in human-to-human relationships and culturation, and letting them know we care about them and we're there for them. And so it takes, it's a burden on our leadership team to travel a lot. But been a little old school during this COVID thing, and working from home. The first meeting we had in person with a whiteboard, as COVID started to die, like, oh my God, we got so much more done, and we engage as humans. And my job satisfaction went up just being with people. Now we are understanding that work from home is now an important thing. So trying to get over my old school, allow at least some hybrid work where it makes sense and so forth. So that's an adjustment we're trying to embrace. But I think being human to human with our team a lot, and lots of internal communication is how we're scaling culturally. I don't know about 1,400, how you scale it, but it's working for us for now. Yeah, but thank you. Yeah.
That was going to be kind of my question about how do you propagate some of those core values into remote? If you have ideas on that, because in my business we're somewhat siloed. We've got people kind of all over the country, and so when we meet, it's very intentional. So we don't have kind of the extra collaborative chatter, the water cooler chatter. So instilling some of those values when most of your meetings are just about one specific thing. If you have ideas on how to kind of trickle that effect through remote work.
So given we all need to meet remotely now, how are we embracing and enhancing our culture, essentially? Well, I'll tell you, an experience we're going through right now is in January, we launched leadership development program, leadership training. We've got 35 managers at Fishers. And so we've got lots of tools. I've shared some with you today. We do, and I do it, 90 minutes a month of leadership training. And this is, I love this. We also created an emerging leaders program. So those are all the managers. If they manage one person, they're part of that leadership training. We also did an application process for emerging leaders, those who are not currently managers, but that aspire, want to manage this crazy thing called people someday. And so I thought, I hope we can get a class of 5, and we'll do a class every year, give them some special projects on how to be easier to do business with, or just special projects as an emerging leader class. We launched it. I thought, I hope we get 5 employees that apply. We got 17. And so we actually created 2 classes of 5, and so they're part of that leadership training as well. I'm getting to your point. Those, because all of these leaders are across 11 locations, we have to do those via Zoom or Teams. And what we've done is I'll do at least 2, sometimes 3 breakout groups in those training sessions to go share experiences, what we learned last month, and have you been practicing it, lessons learned, and then what you just heard, what's clear, not clear, just various kind of breakout group engagements. And so they're breaking out to groups 5 or 6. They may have never met each other. They're in different geographies, different functions. So they're collaborating, getting to know each other. And I asked for feedback after every one of those trainings, and the feedback I'm getting is, I love the breakout groups. They're like, Chris, we want less of you. We want more breakout groups, right? So I think part of those tools, those breakout groups, has been fantastic. In fact, I wanted to move leadership training back to in person. We're doing all our meetings back in person, and I'm not going to, because those breakout groups allow people who've never hung out together to hang out for a while, and they're loving it. So that's one thing we're doing in the virtual world, is periodic breakout groups to engage with folks they may not otherwise have hung out with. All right, I think I'm at my time here. Thank you so much for listening to me babble on for a while. And by the way, all of this comes from Fishers. We call it our R&D department, rip off and duplicate. So I hope there's something you want to rip off and duplicate, and if share your contact information with me. I'd love to hear what you all do in your organizations that I can duplicate at Fishers. So anyway, thank you so much.
Well, it's a good session when you're running out of time because you have too many questions for the presenter. So I myself was inspired by the blend of leadership and humility you brought on stage, Chris, so thank you for that. All the way to the point where I can see myself working at Fishers someday. And if any of us do get the interview with Chris, there's one thing we all need to do, right? Vehemently disagree with him. And he will hire you. All jokes aside, though, Trellit does have a printer from Fishers Technology, and we are one extremely happy customer. I just thought I'd say that because it's true. Onwards to the agenda. So we have a session starting at 11:30, so we're going to roll into a quick break for about 15 minutes. We have seminars, and we also have live here on main stage at 11:30. We'll hear from Jay Larson with the Idaho Technology Council Spark series, and he moderates the artificial intelligence panel. So if you're into AI, be back here at 11:30. If you're not, be back here at 11:30. Thanks, guys.